Disagreements between fanverse developers and content creators, strong opinions on Five Nights at Freddy's security breach and special delivery, Five Nights at Freddy's community in peril, this news and more right here, right now on Awesomegamerdude. What's up, FNaF fanatics? It's me, Nathan, and right here, right now, we're going to be talking about the chaos going on in the Five Nights at Freddy's community, because everything is going wrong. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you administer a big ol' like and subscribe, because the way things are going, you won't be able to soon. And now, without further ado, let's get started with today's video. Okay, I think we got their attention. Cut the music. Great. Thank you. Hi guys, Nathan here, but you all know me as Awesomegamerdude. I'm currently sick and in no condition to record a video, but seeing as this is a current topic, I figured, well, there's no time like the present. So I've had the misfortune of witnessing a lot of stuff go down ever since Scott left. Illumix was called out for their lack of upkeep on Five Nights at Freddy's special delivery, Steel Wool published security breach before it was ready and couldn't win the public's favor, and now the Five Nights at Freddy's YouTube community, my community, is having disagreements with leaders of the Fazbear fanverse, specifically Kane Carter, over issues of coverage and what should and shouldn't be said. There's also stuff about the developer of Chompers and Flumpties, but you won't get that information from me here on this channel, because one of those I don't fully understand and therefore I don't feel comfortable covering it, and the other I refuse to cover knowing that I have a responsibility as a Five Nights at Freddy's content creator to keep my Five Nights at Freddy's videos safe for a younger audience. Because let's face it, most of this fandom is little kids. But we're not here to talk about the demographics for Five Nights at Freddy's. My goal with this video is to drive home one point: taking responsibility, not only for ourselves, but for the entire community. That includes fan game developers and companies like Steel Wool and Illumix, who are also supposed to take responsibility for their actions. So let's start with the most current stuff between Kane Carter and the Five Nights at Freddy's YouTube community, specifically Theft King, because I bet that's what you're all here for. I'll be arguing both in opposition and support of both parties, so don't expect me to take a side for this video. Also keep in mind this is my opinion, and you have a right to respectfully disagree with what I have to say. I won't stop you. Are we cool? Okay. So, Theft King and others following in his footsteps, I believe that as a Five Nights at Freddy's content creator, your responsibility is to report information as accurately as possible. That goes for your titles and thumbnails too. They should accurately reflect the information you are presenting. As it stands, you are presenting your content in an exaggerated fashion that can come off as misleading and spark fear. The Fazbear fanverse is not ending. Scott will not sell FNaF. Security breach is not a crime. MatPat and Daco didn't lie to us. But any young, impressionable viewer won't think twice about what is being presented and will believe, for example, the fanverse is doomed without a second thought. I took a professional journalism class in college, and I'm not going to say I have all the knowledge on the topic, but I do know of many incidents where a reporter was held accountable for modifying something to create a more dramatic effect. Needless to say, every one of them was fired with a permanent stain on their career. I'll leave a link in the description to incidents such as these if you'd like to read about them. Long story short, although I, among others, can see that these topics are being exaggerated, there are those who can't differentiate between fact and opinion, and they will spread false information that the fanverse is dying and ruin the reputation of its community and creators. That's what I believe to be the concern here with these Five Nights at Freddy's YouTubers. However, I don't think this concern is being communicated responsibly by the community, who at this point in time is choosing to act with aggression. There is no way to see into the mind of Theft King and the other creators. We don't know for certain what their intentions were when publishing their videos. It could have been to dismantle the fanverse and profit off of drama, but it also could have been an honest mistake that was not thought out well. We don't know. And just because we think we know, we really shouldn't go and insult those we disagree with. A civil debate, sure, but I think people are taking things way too far to the point where it's going to do more harm than good. It shouldn't be about who wins and loses, it should be about keeping the community together. Let's switch gears now and talk about Kane Carter and the fanverse developers. Guys, you have a right to be angry. You're putting your heart and soul, blood, sweat, and tears into these projects, and it probably feels like everyone is turning their backs on you and biting the hand that feeds them. However, as spokespeople of the Five Nights at Freddy's community and the individuals everyone looks up to, I believe you are responsible for modeling how the community is supposed to act and behave. That means taking the heat and not firing back at oppressors. Before, we had Scott to manage everything. He would settle debates, solve problems, etc. But now Scott has stepped back. And because Steel Wool and Illumix are far too busy to deal with debacles in the community, that means it's up to you guys to keep the peace and act responsibly. Something that, in my opinion, isn't being done well. I know you didn't sign up for this and it sucks to have to carry the burden, but whether you like it or not, a lot of people look up to you and value your input. And when you, Kane Carter, and you, Phil Morg, are constantly dunking on people who say something you believe to be stupid, think about what kind of a message that sends out to the community. You may see it as a lighthearted joke, but others may see it as an open invitation to harass anyone that they disagree with, even going to extreme lengths. That's not the kind of behavior you want to encourage because it's going to divide this community even further than it already has, and it'll have major implications on Five Nights at Freddy's projects going forward. That being said, I still think some of us, including me, owe the fanverse developers and fangame developers an apology. I think we often forget that behind every project is a person or sometimes a team of people who are working towards fulfilling a passion, and when that passion is put in a negative light, it's probably frustrating for them because they're working so hard to delight the public, and all they're getting is negativity. I mean, how would you feel if you made something and then everyone insulted it? I'm not saying people shouldn't criticize because that comes with the territory. It's inevitable. Just that we should do our part whenever possible to raise their spirits, not shatter them. And I say this in support of the fanverse devs, but can we really say that Illumix and Steel Wool don't deserve the same treatment? I mean, they're big companies with questionable morals, sure, but at the end of the day, they're people too, and I personally don't think we've been very fair to them and their efforts. FNaF AR is broken and not receiving any content. We all know this, and they should be responding to it. But can't we just be happy that Illumix is taking the time to educate themselves with other properties so they can provide better content in the future? FNaF Security Breach is also pretty broken and lacking in story and gameplay, and yet the team is working on DLC instead of fixing the current issues. But can't we appreciate that for their first attempt at making a large-scale Five Nights at Freddy's game, Security Breach isn't half bad, and Steel Wool will only get better as time goes? I think that everyone, fanverse community, companies, you and I, should be appreciative of one another and respect the craft that goes into everything, even something as simple as a tweet. And when you do have the need to criticize or are the person receiving criticism, just remember that those words don't mean the same thing to them as they mean to you. So don't just outright publish anything without thinking about it first. At least, that's what I believe. Maybe you don't share the same opinion. That's okay too. I'll leave you with this quote from the first Five Nights at Freddy's game, which I've gained a newfound appreciation for. Granted, the words aren't rightly tuned for this situation, but the overall message is clear.
The animatronic characters here do get a bit quirky at night, but do I blame them? No. If I were forced to sing those same stupid songs for 20 years and I never got a bath, I'd probably be a bit irritable at night too. So remember, these characters hold a special place in the hearts of children, and we need to show them a little respect, right? Okay.
I know my message isn't going to reach everyone. Some of you are probably there staring at the screen saying, "Oh wow, look at Awesomegamerdude, acting all high and mighty like he knows everything, talking about righteousness and responsibility like he's anything more than a small YouTuber whose position doesn't really matter." And that's okay. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe my way of thinking is flawed and you're correct. But I'm alright with that. I said what I felt I needed to say, and if you don't agree with it, cool. I'm glad you stuck around to listen to me. I'll leave comments on so we can discuss amongst ourselves in the comments, but please be respectful of one another's opinions and think about what you post. That's all I ask. Well, that's it for me. Thank you all so much for watching and for your support in getting me where I am currently, and I hope to see you around in my next video. Farewell.